Don't we love to build people up? In fact, I think we're addicted to it. The fame, the buzz, the headlines. We turn regular people into gods, then we give them microphones and say, tell us who you really are. Sometimes they tell us in ways that we never wanted to know. Because the truth is, people don't fall from our grace because of the mistakes they make. They fall because they start to think that the rules do not apply to them. Maybe that's our fault, maybe it's theirs. But when they fall and they get caught, the first time typically nothing happens. The money keeps coming in, the fame is still there, and the crowds are still cheering. Maybe they mistake that mercy for immunity. Let's talk about it.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon, yeah, say that.
Please like, share, and subscribe, and if you're on a platform with notifications, turn your notification bell to on. This episode is sponsored by Nutrishop Parker, your one-stop shop for high-quality supplements, protein powders, and wellness products that deliver actually. Whether you're building muscle, burning fat, or just trying to feel better every day, Nutrishop's expert team can help you find what works best for you. If you're local to Colorado, stop by their Parker location for a personalized experience, and if you're tuning in from anywhere in the USA, use code BRANDON at checkout for free shipping on your order. Fuel your goals the smart way. That's the Nutrishop way. Let's get into it. This isn't about cancel culture. It's not about political correctness or hypersensitivity. It's about people, real artists, whose livelihood depends on public perception. Some had the world in their hands, but chose to throw it away. Why? People like Doja Cat, who was on top of the charts, making huge waves in the music business, but from one random conversation, someone asking her to give her fans a little bit more credit, a little bit more love, but instead she responds, mocking the very fans, saying, I don't even know y'all. Or DaBaby on stage when he made homophobic remarks. Doubled down on it, said, who did I offend? Then dropped a music video, mocking the backlash, like it was all a part of his performance. These are people who maybe got caught in a moment of weakness, or a mirror was held up to them and they smashed it. It's up for us to decide. We are the consumers. If you look at the majority of all the public downfalls in the last 5 years, you'll see a pattern. And once you recognize it, you'll see it coming from a mile away. That's what this story is about. Not just about what these artists did, but how they responded to it, what they said, what they refused to say, and ultimately what came from it. Let's break it down. Here's a truth that most people will not say out loud. You don't really get canceled for your first mistake. You get canceled for how you respond to the second chance that you're given. The moment after you're exposed is the real test. Because if we're going to be real, we all have skeletons in our closet. We all are doing or engaging in something or have engaged in something that someone will find less than reputable, will be offended by. So it's a matter of time when you're in the public eye. How do you respond once your laundry is aired? Although we're trying to make a correlation between multiple different artists, we have to keep in mind that what they do, the time that they do it, and the culture in which they do it plays a huge factor into it. I know there's a huge subsector of people looking at the Jonathan Majors situation thinking, who cares? It was a misdemeanor assault. People saw the video of him running down the street, trying to get away from her. And then there's a whole subsector of people who are calling him an abuser and saying that he should never get his job back. The takeaway from that specific sentence is that no matter what you do, somebody's going to find a reason not to like you. So that's one. But when it comes to what you do in the culture that which you do it in, we're hot off the Me Too movement. We're hot off of so many different shifts in our culture that just the fact that he was in an altercation with a woman was enough for some people to write him off forever. Of course, we are dealing with somebody who was a generational talent. Maybe this is just my opinion, maybe this is the consensus across the board, but we're dealing with somebody who genuinely has God-given abilities, God-given talent, and will most likely remain in the public eye because his talent is so vast, right? So maybe we're dealing with an instance of Jonathan Majors is so talented and what he did was so small, he's going to be forgiven and he's going to be a household name here in a little bit. And judging by how Magazine Dreams is going and the reception from that, I think that that is a very clear indication that maybe that is what is going to happen. I guess we can only hope that he has learned his lesson and he's going to be more careful and pick his words carefully, pick his actions carefully, pick his friends carefully, pick his circle carefully. Because he's the most recent example of you can have everything and lose it all overnight. Doja Cat didn't break any laws, but she did break a contract. the unspoken contract between artist and fan. Fans like to think that they know you, and the reason why fans think that they know you is because of what the artist does. The artist puts in their own character, their phrases. Their music is supposed to tell the fan who you are. Their public image is here to tell you who they are. So when a fan comes up and says, I love Doja Cat, I think they mean it. I think because they think that they actually know Doja Cat. But the problem is, all of these big media engines know how to craft a story to make someone likable. It is a template that these businesses put together to skew public perception. If you don't believe me, look at the example of American Idol. The first few seasons of American Idol were as authentic as reality TV can get. The stories were not manufactured. There was no scandals. There was nobody up there who rose to later in the seasons just because of their story. It was because of their talent. But now it's all about the story. It's all about, do you have something that we can tell the audience to emotionally connect with you, to basically have you skip the line and have them look past the fact that you may not be talented enough for this position. I know quite a few people who auditioned for American Idol, and the producers all pulled them aside and asked them what their story was. When they didn't have a story, they said, make up one. And that is how these producers and the engine of the music business works. You do not know Doja Cat. You do not know these artists, but it's designed for you to think you do. That is a benefit to these artists because it helps them get into positions way faster, but it's also a negative when you come out of character. It's hard to stay in character 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long, all year round. So when they inevitably break character, it's like you're breaking who you are. It's like your entire identity has been a lie, and that's something people cannot get past. When she did respond, talking about her fans, saying, I don't even know y'all, the response was swift. It was precise and it was silent. They didn't cancel her publicly. They didn't scream for the mountaintops. They just stopped talking to her. Hundreds of thousands of fans stopped following her, stopped commenting on her stuff, stopped going to shows. She's not fully canceled, but she definitely felt the hit of her brand being devalued. Because that's overall what fame is. The only way you stop being famous is when people stop wanting to see you, stop buying tickets. Fame ends in silence, not flames. Which brings us to DaBaby. At Rolling Loud, when he made homophobic remarks, the fans just stopped streaming his music. He was the number one streamed artist in the United States. You know what fans did? They stopped listening to his music, devalued him. And then what he did is he doubled down, put his comments in a music video, acted like what he said was just a part of a promo shoot for a music video, and fans didn't buy it. Ticket prices soon after were going buy one, get one. He was being tuned out. I think another huge scale, maybe even bigger than the other two, was Ezra Miller, the star of the Flash movie. He went on a string of assaulting people, acting erratically, acting dangerous, at the exact moment he was supposed to carry the torch for the DC Universe, ushering in a new era for the brand. Instead of stepping aside and saying he's going to go get help, Ezra Miller doubled down, went to different states, choked out a woman, all kinds of other stuff, and the rest is history. The movie did not do well. The DC Universe has blown up, is now under the leadership of James Gunn, who seems to be doing a very good job, but I do believe his image could have been salvaged if he was able to step aside and do what needed to be done. Of course, I have to preface that we don't know what mental health issues were going on, if any. We don't know what was going on personally, if there was some type of justification for his thought process. All we know is what we were told, so all we can talk about is what we saw. And what we saw is somebody who was their own worst enemy, who had an opportunity for a second chance because they actually let his movie come out. And instead of helping, he destroyed it. She's not a part of the video, but Rachel Zegler is somebody who I know I'm going to be making a video on here soon, maybe even next week, because she's doing the exact same thing. And that's unfortunate for Ezra Miller, because I really did like his Flash interpretation. I'm a big comic book fan. Although he wasn't the traditional Barry Allen, I did recognize how difficult it was for what they put him up against. The task of playing both Barry Allens and doing most of the movie through a green screen. I thought he did a tremendous job. It's unfortunate that his talent will now be wasted. I don't foresee anybody hiring him anytime in the future, unless he does a Robert Downey Jr. type of comeback. But I don't think he was ever beloved like Robert Downey Jr. enough to have a comeback reminiscent of that. So are you starting to see it now? The mistake isn't the end. The end comes when your ego is not met with humility, when you perform instead of pause, when you justify instead of apologize. The truth is most of these people could have survived the scandal, but the majority of them could not survive themselves. They should take a page out of Jonathan Major's book. He is on his way to a comeback, and I think he's doing a great job. A beautiful job. But there is something haunting about watching someone's downfall in the public. It's not because we enjoy it, it's because we recognize it, and we know what that means. The denial, the defensiveness, the pride, it's human, eerily relatable. As an artist myself who's been in over 40 musicals, working on an album right now, I'm currently in a movie, a feature-length movie that's shooting here in California, be traveling here in a little bit, I'll say it. The temptation to ignore correction is real. When people are clapping, when the lights are on, when the money's coming in, it's easy to think that you are the reason, that you are the golden boy, that you are chosen. It's easy to think that you're not replaceable. It's easy to think that your gifts excuse your gaps. But we've seen enough to know that that's not how it really is. Not in the long run. When you look at these downfalls, you start to see the pattern. Step one, they all deny it. I didn't do it. You guys don't understand. They're out to get me. It's not true. This is the first wall of defense when an artist is accused who isn't ready to accept their L, who isn't ready to proceed with humility. It's not because they're evil or operating out of sin, it's because they're scared, and it makes sense. Of course, I get it. I've had moments where I've messed up, where I had to atone for something that I did, something that I never thought I would do, where I missed the mark. The hardest thing in the world sometimes is, I'm sorry, that's on me. Especially when you fail so publicly. Step two is typically the half-hearted apology. If I offended anyone, that's not who I am. We've all heard that before. It's not accountability, it's image management. The artist is not trying to heal, they're trying to move on. Again, as somebody who has spent time on sets, in waiting rooms, in rehearsal rooms, in auditioning rooms, I'll say this. Real artists do not run from critiques. It's necessary, we need it. Growth is built in that process. You can't become a great actor or a great artist without that process. But in real life, it seems like these artists forget that. Step three is the rebellion. This is where the downfall truly accelerates. It's when an artist stops listening and starts performing. Doubling down, making a mockery of the backlash, turning pain into content, arrogance into branding. DaBaby did it with a video, Doja Cat did it with a tweet, and I've seen people in real life, off camera, in green rooms and in dressing rooms, justifying behavior that's clearly out of line because they think they're too big to be corrected. But here's what they're not seeing. The public doesn't cancel you. They just go quiet. And there's a specific archetype that is attracted to the lights. There's a specific type of person who is in need of the stage, in need of being seen on the big screen. Typically, it's because in childhood, you did not get enough attention. There's something that you were lacking in terms of, see me, you're not seeing me. So you go elsewhere to get it. And a lot of them find themselves in Hollywood and in theater. So what's the worst thing that can happen to someone who already came into the industry needing that? It's the public being silent in the middle of your art, in the midst of your art. Few things hurt worse to an artist with that archetype. So as I pursue my own journey of artistry, whether I'm that archetype or not remains to be seen. But one thing I know for sure is that I don't want a job. I want a career. I want longevity. So as I'm studying the downfall of what other artists have done wrong, I would be a fool not to take note. I'd be a fool not to understand the patterns. I'd be a fool to let my pride and ego cheat me out of something the majority of people never get. So if you've gotten anything from this video, it's this. If you're a creative, a dreamer, a thinker, an entrepreneur, we're pretty much after the same thing. But to get the same thing, you have to be teachable. You have to be moldable. You have to be humble. Because the world loves to love a humble person. Until next time.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that. Yeah, say that to me, oh marathon. You can say that to me, yeah, say that. You can say that to me.